When I was going through my divorce, I was so confused and overwhelmed by how I felt, especially about how marriage, this is something that I grew up wanting to want, and then I had it, but then it was also suffocating to me, and trying to figure out why that was and why I struggled. And even the things that led up to my ex and I splitting and my divorce, I'm still working through. And what of that was mine and what of that was idle influences or being raised in the 90s with Disney movies and fairy tale endings and movies ending right when you get married. Come on, I've always wanted to know, did Aladdin and Jasmine ever have kids? Summer after my divorce, I was going through the bookstore, my local indie bookstore. I already knew that I was going off to Switzerland. I was in the relationship books aisle, sex and relationships, and just looking for any kind of books that could maybe help explain how I felt in my situation and whatnot. There wasn't much. They just didn't exist. I got divorced in the summer of 2016. It's one of the first of my friends to get married, first of my friends to get divorced. I didn't know what was happening. The only books on the shelves were stuff about divorce related with kids or in religious Christian, which did not reflect my experience. Over the past 8 years, luckily, I've been looking for books again to help me as I process my own narrative around my marriage and my divorce and stuff like that. But then also like other books that I wish existed when I was going through my divorce and trying to figure out what came after. I just realized that I have all of these books in my bookshelf that I've curated from around the world and lugged with me, turned into beautiful wallpaper, that I have not shared this list. Welcome to the Divorcee Bookshelf. I'm your host, Laura Howe. Divorcee's Bookshelf features books that are different categories, either about divorce, marriage, love, friendship, topics related to building life out of divorce that I read that I felt some kind of connection or meaning in. First, recommendations. Books about divorce that I wish were written when and on the shelves when I was going through my divorce. One by Cynthia DeCaires. You Could Make This Place Beautiful by Maggie Smith. This Story Will Change by Elizabeth Crane. And the last one, This American Ex-Wife by Liz Lenz, which copy is currently on loan to a friend of mine. Books to read to help you understand marriage, especially if you, like me, chose to get married and found something was off with it. But You Seemed Happy by Kimberly Harrington. Simone de Beauvoir, The Independent Woman, or excerpts from anything from The Second Sex. Elizabeth Gilbert's Committed. And this one, The Anatomy of Love by Helen Fisher, PhD, A Natural History of Marriage, of Mating, Marriage, and Why We Stray. This is the only book that I found on the shelves that time that I went to the bookstore to find any kind of book to help me understand what I was going through. Lots of great stats and data on here about relationships, and not just from a Western perspective. But next, dating. If you grew up in the 90s, early aughts about dating and in the narrative like I did of Disney princesses, Sex and the City, and this fucking book, He's Just Not That Into You, where dating revolved around not how you feel, but does he want you? Not recommended. Then what I would recommend you read to kind of wash off from that, The Lonely Hunter by May Lutkin. Thank You More Please by Lily Womble. Next, books on friendship. Big Friendship, Amitao Sao and Anne Friedman. I Shouldn't Be Telling You This, But I'm Going to Anyway by Chelsea Devantes. There's a ton more books on friendship that are out and about now. This is a good year for books on friendship. Next, Learning How to Trust Yourself. Splinters by Leslie Jamison. Tough Girl by Carolyn Wood. Fiction, The Divorcees by Rowan Baird. The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer, and honestly, anything by Meg Wolitzer. I would also, you can't have a Divorcee bookshelf without having more Elizabeth Gilbert. I'd go for this fiction one, The Signature of All Things. And one of my favorites, Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo. Final category. If you want to be angry at men, The End of Men by Hannah Rosen. Three Women by Leslie Taddeo. Holy shit. This is a nonfiction book, but it's written like a narrative nonfiction book. It's good. Rage Becomes Her by Sarai Chimale. I listened to this on audiobook, which was very, very, very powerful. However, I do not recommend reading or listening to this if you're going through, well, a corporate restructuring period and layoffs, because that just made things even more angry. Or maybe I was angry about a bunch of other things and that was icing on the cake. Anyway, that book helped fuel my anger and helped me get permission to feel angry. It's really fucking good, but it's a lot. So just pace it out. And this one, The Marriage by Jeffrey Jennings. So this guy, his name is all over the place with fiction. This book made me so angry, not because of how it's written. It's very well written. It is, though, very detailed. It took forever to get through big block paragraphs, etc. That's just the style. And writing is not bad. But the reason why this book made me so angry was because the jacket copy on this book talks about how it is supposed to be questioning things in marriage, and only satisfaction came at the very end, very, very last page. And that book in its entire package made me angry again. And this is the list of the latest recommendations from the Divorcée Bookshelf. If you are a divorcee or someone who's just interested in topics about divorce or changing whatever that status quo was that we are raised to want, these books were my syllabus, required reading, or reading that helped me build my life after divorce. I'm Laura Howe, founder of Dispatch Divorcee and host inside the community.
Hey girls, what's the plan for tonight?
The Divorcee's Bookshelf is books of recommendation for what to read as you go through divorce and life after.